In this week's Western Water Weekly, we are covering wildfire smoke that could shorten lives, a leadership gap at the Bureau of Reclamation, new desalination in California, and rivers that are heating up faster than the air. Big stories told simply. Let's first respond to comments and then dive in.
Some viewers are asking whether data centers are the main cause of water depletion in the Colorado River Basin. The truth is a bit more nuanced. Data centers do use a lot of water, especially in hot, dry states like Arizona, Utah, and Nevada, where evaporative cooling is common. In those cases, the water doesn't return to rivers or aquifers. It evaporates into the air, which means real losses to already stressed supplies. Depending on the design, a single large data center can consume hundreds to a few thousand acre-feet of water a year. That's significant for local communities, but it's still far less than agriculture, which uses the overwhelming majority of water in the basin. Cities like Mesa, Arizona, and Eagle Mountain, Utah are now requiring reclaimed water and tighter efficiency standards so that new data centers don't put as much pressure on the system. Energy use is the other side of the coin. Data centers are among the fastest growing sources of electricity demand, and in places like Wyoming or Arizona, huge new projects could double local demand. If utilities have to build new plants or power lines quickly, everyone's rates can rise. So while data centers are not the main cause of water depletion in the Colorado River Basin, they are a growing piece of the puzzle. That's why basin states are looking at policies that require water-saving technologies, reclaimed water use, and dedicated energy tariffs, so that growth in the digital economy doesn't worsen drought impacts or raise costs unfairly for neighbors. And here's where public opinion comes in. A new poll released in June shows Arizonans know exactly where their priorities lie. 91% are worried about the Colorado River's future, and nearly as many about groundwater. An overwhelming 88% want dedicated conservation funding, and 86% prefer cooperation among basin states over legal fights. When asked how limited water should be used, 3 out of 4 said drinking water in farms should come first, while only about 1 in 5 thought industries like AI data centers or computer chip factories deserved priority. In other words, the public sees it clearly. When water is scarce, what matters more? Food on the table or artificial intelligence in the cloud?
Wildfire smoke could cause 70,000 deaths per year in the United States by 2050. A Stanford University study found that smoke from larger, longer-lasting wildfires is spreading across the country, not just in the West. These fine particles, called PM 2.5, are small enough to penetrate deep into the lungs and bloodstream, increasing the risk of early death for years after exposure. Children, pregnant women, people with asthma, and those with cancer are especially vulnerable. The damages. Researchers say smoke-related deaths could cost the U.S. economy more than $600 billion annually by mid-century, more than all other climate damages combined. Solutions include better air filtration, controlled burns, and improved forest management. Meanwhile, the Colorado River is facing some of the most difficult negotiations in history, yet the Bureau of Reclamation has no permanent leader. Ted Cook, the former general manager of the Central Arizona Project, had been nominated for the role. But before his confirmation hearing, President Trump's White House abruptly asked him to withdraw. Cook said the official explanation, problems with vetting paperwork, was not convincing. He believes the real reason was political opposition from senators in the upper basin states. Without a confirmed commissioner, negotiations over new post-2026 river rules are being led by interim staff. Lawmakers warn that without stable leadership, the basin states may fail to reach consensus and could end up in court. In Utah, a new agreement is shifting irrigation water into city supplies. The Strawberry Valley Project, first built in the early 1900s, now allows up to 61,000 acre-feet of water, enough for 183,000 homes, to be converted from farm use to municipal use. Farmers are not forced out. Instead, they can voluntarily transfer water rights if land is sold for development. With Utah County's population expected to more than double by 2060, this agreement gives cities like Spanish Fork and Payson a stable water future while respecting agricultural traditions. California has confirmed golden mussel infestations in Silverwood and Pyramid Lakes. Native to Asia, golden mussels reproduce quickly and stick to everything from boats to intake pipes. Once they take hold, there is no effective way to remove them. They clog infrastructure, hurt native species, and spread easily. At Silverwood, inspections now happen on exit, not entry. Boaters must pull drain plugs and are urged to clean, drain, and dry equipment before moving to other lakes. Officials are racing to prevent the spread into Lake Paris, where millions of gallons of water are transferred daily.
This week's blast from the basin takes us back to the year 1916, when a bizarre and heart-tugging story from the Arizona desert captured headlines across the United States. The Sacramento Star was just one of many newspapers that ran it, and readers couldn't get enough. It began on a scorching August day as Mexican laborers cleared out an irrigation ditch near Phoenix. Suddenly, floating down the waterway, a little box appeared. Inside, to everyone's shock, was a chubby, brown-eyed baby boy, nestled on a pillow, wrapped in ribbons and lace, and dressed in costly clothes. Whoever placed him there had built a tiny ark for his journey. The man who pulled the box from the ditch, Manuel Mendez, took the infant home to his wife. They soothed him, and before long, the whole desert settlement was buzzing. A local officer, half in jest, christened the baby Moses Chandler. Moses because he was drawn from the water. Chandler after the church spire near where his little ark had floated. But then came the real drama. Childless Arizona ranchers, men of wealth and influence, offered to adopt him, to raise him in comfort and luxury. Yet Manuel Mendez, who earned barely $1.50 a day, refused. "The baby is mine," he said, "for I found him." He promised to raise the boy in faith, with the beauty of labor and the simplicity of beans. His wife agreed, and so a battle began. Poverty and wealth fighting over a baby cast adrift in an Arizona irrigation ditch. Who were his parents? Why was he set afloat? And would the law side with the poor man who rescued him, or the rich ranchers who longed for a child of their own? The Sacramento Star closed its report with uncertainty. The authorities said they were investigating, but no one knew the truth of baby Moses, a mystery child whose fate gripped the nation in the summer of 1916. And as for what happened next, well, we're still researching this one, so be sure to subscribe, because if we uncover the rest of the story, you'll hear it right here on Blast from the Basin.
In Arizona, Salt River Project has installed a new hydrologic flume in the Verde River watershed. It is an aluminum structure about 10 feet across and weighing 650 pounds, airlifted by helicopter into remote terrain. The flume will measure stream flow into Phoenix area reservoirs, supplying more than 2.5 million residents. Accurate measurement helps water managers respond to unpredictable weather shifts, especially after years of extreme wet and dry swings. Researchers will also use the flume to study how forest thinning affects water yield, combining science with long-term water planning. That Penn State scientists found that rivers across the country are experiencing heat waves 2 to 4 times faster than the air. Warmer rivers lose oxygen, stress aquatic life, and can trigger mass fish die-offs. Cold water species like salmon and trout are especially vulnerable. Since 1980, rivers have gained nearly 12 extra days per year above 59 degrees Fahrenheit, a threshold stressful to many species. The impacts go beyond fish. Warmer rivers affect indigenous traditions, raise drinking water treatment costs, limit farming and recreation, and disrupt energy production. Researchers suggest solutions like planting riverbank vegetation for shade, adjusting dam operations, and restoring natural flows. California celebrated a major milestone last week. The city of Antioch opened a new brackish water desalination facility, the first of its kind in the Delta. The plant uses reverse osmosis to remove salt from the San Joaquin River, producing up to 6 million gallons of drinking water per day. By the end of this year, the plant will cover about 40% of Antioch's water demand, protecting the city from drought and saltwater intrusion. Brackish desalination is less energy-intensive than seawater treatment, making it a practical tool for inland cities. Antioch's project shows how local investment combined with state funding can deliver real water security. Finally, the U.S. Drought Monitor reported mixed news this week. Arizona and New Mexico saw scattered showers with limited drought relief, though flash flooding hit some areas. Colorado and Wyoming received widespread rain and even early snow, improving soil moisture for fall crops. Utah stayed mostly dry, while California and Nevada had scattered storms that caused flash flooding, but did little to fix long-term drought. Looking ahead, forecasters expect rainfall to shift south and east. The Southwest may get more heavy showers, while the Southern Plains and Great Lakes remain drier than normal. That wraps up this week's Western Water News. For details about these stories or for fresh updates delivered every day except Sunday, visit western-water.com. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.